Alright, so I don't really have a topic for this video. I think it's episode 3 now of documenting my journey. So this video is basically going to be explaining how to transition from a DM setter to an SDR, or how I did it myself, because that's what I've done. So I'm sure a lot of people get into high ticket sales and it's like, okay, I start off as a DM setter, then it's like, what next? You know, and there's a full value chain. In my first video, I made this full value chain where it's like, you start as a setter, then you become a closer, then you become a manager, then whatever after that. And it's like, how do you actually do that, you know? Well, I can tell you how to go from a DM setter to an SDR, which is a phone setter. So this is what I did. I started off as a DM setter, and then from DM setting, I went into triaging, and then from triaging, I went into phone setting, which is being an SDR. And I'm sure a lot of people, like, this is how I'd say it. You need to think, like, how can I be of more value to my offer? Like, what's the natural next step, right? Think about what actually happens after you book someone in for a call as a DM setter, right? And excuse my random ass background, but think about it, right? Let's say I'm in the DMs, I'm booking someone in for a call. After that, they're going to be on the call with the closer, right? Depending on your offer. Some offers have triages, right? Because everybody knows that DM sets aren't the most reliable, right? The lead quality can vary based on like who you're booking in and whatnot. And if you're going to book them directly to the closer, they're probably not going to show up. They're probably not going to be financially qualified. So you put a triage in place, right? And what does the triage do? I completely lost my train of thought. I completely lost my train of thought. So what does a triage do, right? They call the person up that just booked in for a call, and they're like, hey, they essentially go through the exact process that the DM setter went through, but it's over the phone. So they actually qualify them. Do they actually have a problem? Are they actually in need of help? Are they financially qualified? You know, things like this. And this is the natural next step after being a DM setter. So if you're a DM setter and you want to become a phone setter, an SDR, who has higher conversions, they're more applicable, they get paid better, because it's just a high leverage form of the same skill of setting. You need to ask yourself on my offer, or you need to go to your managers or your offer owner, like, and you need to tell them, okay, so how can I provide more value, right? How can I be of service to this offer? And if you're a DM setter, the easiest thing you can do is to start triaging leads. When you book someone in for a call, ask your managers and your offer owner, hey, can I call this person up and actually make sure that they're qualified? Can I triage this person? You know, ideally you get paid for it, but you're doing this for the sake of reps. The way I was able to transition within, you know, from 0 to SDR within a couple of months is because I was focused on gaining skills. I went from DM setting to triaging like really, really quickly, because it was just, you know, the need was there. These leads are being booked in, but, you know, no one's there to confirm whether they're actually qualified or not. Okay, so then you step in as a triager, you're talking to them on the phone. It's the same skill of DM setting, but it's just at a higher point. So that's the first part. Then the second part, from going from a triager to a phone setter, you need to triaging and phone setting are essentially the same thing, right? Phone setting just books people in at the end, but it's the same thing as triaging. So how did I transition from a triager to a phone setter? The webinar does. Okay. So how do you go from a triager to an SDR then? Because now you've done DM setting to triaging. Now you're booking in calls in the fucking IG DMs, and now you're calling them up as well. And you're making sure that they're actually qualified. You know, you're speaking to people on the phone. They're hearing your tone. You're hearing their tone. You're telling them, hey, I know you said on the DMs with XYZ offer owner that, you know, you've got like 2K set aside to get started with this. Is that the case? Or an example, like triaging call. Let's say in the DM someone told you that, hey, I've got, you know, $500 to 1K to invest into whatever BizOp. I'm not sure what BizOps are priced that low, but let's say I've got that much money to invest. On the triaging call, you're going to say the exact same thing, but you're just going to say it over the phone instead. So you're going to be like, hey, so I'm sure you're aware that in order to get started with a business opportunity like this, there's some level of capital that is required to start. So my question to you then is, how much you actually have set aside in order to begin this? And then they're going to tell you. And if it's the same as what they told you in the DMs, then good, you can move on. And if it's different, then, you know, that's something that you need to deal with. So how do you transition from a triager to now an SDR? It's simple. Most offers that you're on will either have done a webinar or have like some kind of older lead list to go through. So what you're going to do then is pitch your offer owner and your sales manager, the same people that you ask to do triaging, you're going to ask them, hey, can I do some outbound dials? Can I try to phone set some people and, try to generate more revenue from this offer? Not from new webinars, not from like new fucking inbound leads from paid ads or something like that, or lead magnets. You're gonna dial people from like 6 months ago, like a year ago, and you're gonna try phone set them. Because there's a reason why they opted in the first place, right? No one would have filled in an application form. No one would have signed up for a webinar if they weren't actually interested on some level. So those are the people that you're going to dial. And what you're going to get from that, you're going to get real reps actually phone setting people. You're going to get revenue because if these deals close, you're going to make money from that. And you're going to get call recordings. And call recordings is what you need in order to actually transition. Right? That's like your proof of skill. So you gain 3 things. And each step of the way, you're providing more value to your offer, right? You start off as a DM setter, you're booking calls on IG DMs, inbound, warm outbound, etc., etc. But it's like, DM setting is people can drop off at any point in the conversation. Like, it's so fickle, DM conversations. So then what's the next step? Let's say I'm booking in leads and, these leads aren't showing up from my DM sets. How do I fix that? You fucking call them. You have to triage them. That's how you can provide more value to your offer. And it's going to be a common theme in what I'm saying in this video. How can I be of service to others? That's what you need to keep asking yourself. And if you ask yourself that, you're going to naturally see the path ahead to transition from a DM setter to then a triager to then an SDR. So let's summarize all of this. How do I go from a DM setter to an SDR within a relatively short period of time rather than getting stuck as a DM setter for an entire year? It's simple. You're going to go from DM setting to triaging. And when you're triaging, you're going to make sure that you re-qualify these people and that they're going to show up. And then once you do that, you're going to go from triager to SDR. How are you going to do that? You're going to dial outbound leads, not cold outbound, warm outbound. People that have signed up to a past webinar who've opted in for a lead magnet, but this is like 6 months ago, 12 months ago, 3 months ago. These are the people that you're going to dial, that you're going to phone set, that you're going to get reps with, and that's how you become an SDR. Because now you have the skill. So if you want to become an SDR and you're now currently a DM setter, that is exactly what you should do. And you're going to become an SDR. You're going to become higher paid. You're going to have more leverage. And you're going to have access to better offers. So yeah, have any questions, DM me on Instagram. Yeah, that's pretty much it.